Now let's move on to the next verse. नेहाभिक्रमनाशोऽस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयात्. In this Karma Yoga, there is no destruction of a beginning, effort, nor is there any harm in form of an opposing result. Even a little bit of this dharma, way or approach, saves one from the great fear of samsara. So, as I told you, that Krishna is now going to start talking about Karma Yoga. So, here he is just praising Karma Yoga in order to generate interest in the mind of the listener, that what is this Karma Yoga going to give you, or how is it going to benefit you. He is just trying to create an interest in the mind of the listener by saying these two lines. He says that on this path of Karma Yoga, no effort will go waste. Everything you do will certainly lead to the goal of this process. And what is the goal of this process? Purification of the mind. Antahakaran Shuddhi. Mind is called Antahakaran. Okay, the inner instrument. And its purification is the goal of Karma Yoga. What do we mean by purification? Purification means that personal likes and dislikes, raga and dvesha, are to be neutralized. They are to be neutralized. Right now, we act controlled by our raga dvesha. I do what I like. I try to avoid what I don't like. Right? Raga and dvesha. And this kind of an attitude towards life keeps me limited to my limited idea of self, my limited individuality. Karma Yoga is about growing out of this limited idea of self. So, this is the purification, this neutralization of raga dvesha and growing out of limited idea of self is the purification which has to be brought about through the process of Karma Yoga. Okay, so Krishna is saying that if you follow the path of Karma Yoga, then with each and every step, with each and every action, you will be purifying your mind. He uses the word abhikram. Abhikram means beginning. So he's saying it in a very poetic sort of a way. Generally, we begin something hoping for a particular result. But often we don't get it. And so our entire effort seems like a waste. But in the path of Karma Yoga, every effort we do will definitely bring about some purification of the mind. So no effort goes to waste. That is what is meant here. Also, pratyavayo na vidyate. Pratyavaya means that any kind of harm, any kind of loss, or any kind of opposing result. Sometimes we do something aiming for X, and we don't get X, we get the opposite of X, and we end up losing what we have. But this will not happen in Karma Yoga. There is nothing to lose. On the path of Karma Yoga, there is nothing to lose really, only to gain. You see, these ideas are very subtle, and to understand them, one has to be very aware of how one is living right now, how one is doing everything. So I suggest that begin examining your life and the way you do everything. Try to assess what exactly you aim for in your actions and how far are you successful in achieving that aim. So become a little aware of how you are leading your life, and then only can you appreciate what Karma Yoga has to offer. Further, Krishna says that even a little bit of this approach, he uses the word dharma here. Dharma is used here in the sense of approach to life, a way of life. So little bit of this approach would help you overcome the great fear. Mehato bhayat. What is this mehato bhayat, great fear? See, we all have certain fears. But what is the most fundamental fear? The great fear. You have to understand this. The great fear in the language of Vedanta is the fear of samsara. Samsara. Samsara is the name given to the cycle of birth and death. Now, even if you don't accept the idea of a cycle of birth and death, even if you believe in just this one life, even then you will find that we keep going in circles. We keep going in circles throughout our life. We begin by feeling empty, inadequate, incomplete. We try to fill this void with something. It gives us some relief for a while. Then we feel empty again, and we go after another thing. This is the ongoing cycle, even within this life. Right? So the fear is of essentially feeling empty, feeling incomplete, feeling unfulfilled. That is the great fear. And if you look at it in a technical term, then it means the fear of this whole cycle of birth and death. So Karma Yoga is the approach which will help you overcome this great fear, even if you try to bring it a little bit in your life. You will feel less fearful for yourself. You will feel less insecure. You will feel more peaceful with yourself as you are right now. This is Krishna's assurance. Okay, so in this way, Krishna praises Karma Yoga before actually explaining it, so that people like us, listeners like us, get a little bit interested in what he is going to say next. he begins by saying, Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekehe kurunandana bahushakhahi anantascha buddhayo avyavasayinam. Very, very important verse, very interesting verse. And the literal translation of this verse may not make much sense to you. But still, let us read the literal translation. O son of Kurus, Kuru Nandana, in this Karmayoga, the resolute intellect is singular. The intellect of irresolute, delusional individuals branches numerously, endlessly. So, on the surface, this literal translation would not make any sense to any of us. So, let's try to understand it, what it means. He's saying Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Buddhi means intellect. Okay? The thinking, reasoning capacity in the mind is the Buddhi. Vyavasayatmika Buddhi means, Vyavasaya means resolute, determined. So he is talking about an intellect which is very resolute, determined, focused in a single direction. Okay? Shankara calls this buddhi Nishchayatmika Buddhi. Nishchay means decision, decidedly. It has decidedly understood something, and therefore it is focused in a single direction. And what has this buddhi decidedly understood? It has understood that what I am looking for, I cannot find in any of these actions of the world, in any of these objects and experiences of the world. They are all limited. What I am looking for is the limitless. So I cannot find it in these limited pursuits of the world. This has been clearly understood by the Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, by the intellect of the person who is a Karmayogi. Okay, so such a person knows that none of these actions can give me what I want. Only knowledge can give me. Knowledge of the true self can give me what I want. So it is focused towards that knowledge alone. And therefore only is it walking the path of Karma Yoga so determinedly. Because Karma Yoga, as I told you, is the preliminary step. It prepares the mind, and then only can you receive the knowledge. Right? Now, why do we need this knowledge? Because knowledge is the only way of liberation. Moksha. Moksha. We've discussed this before, but let's look into it again. You see, according to the Gita and Vedanta in general, The very aim and purpose of human life is to attain moksha. Moksha is the purpose of our life. You must have heard this very often. But you will say, how is moksha the purpose of my life? How can you say that? I want very different things in my life. You may want very different things in your life. Everybody wants different things in their lives. How can you say that the purpose of everybody's life is moksha? I mean, you go to a college student and you ask him, what is the purpose of your life? You will never hear him say moksha. Or you go to a businessman and ask him, what is the purpose of your life? You will never hear moksha. Right? So how can you say that moksha is the purpose of everyone's life? So yes, let's understand this. You see, different people are doing different things in their lives. Agreed. Someone is pursuing a career. Someone is pursuing wealth and social status. Someone is pursuing professional achievements. Someone else may be just pursuing some kind of lifestyle. So we are all going after different things in our lives. Agreed. But what for? Why are we pursuing all these things? The reason we pursue these things is that we feel inadequate about ourselves. Remember this. We feel inadequate about ourselves. We feel incomplete in ourselves. And to free ourselves from this inadequacy and incompleteness, we go after all these things. We think that when I will have this or that thing, I will be free. I will be fulfilled. When I will have the career I desire, or when I will have the bank balance I desire, or when I will have the house of my dreams, I will not feel incomplete and inadequate anymore. Then I will be perfectly happy and fulfilled forever. So, what are we looking for in all these things? It is essentially the same thing: freedom. Freedom. Freedom from this inadequacy, incompleteness. We may be doing very different things in our own separate lives, but we are all aiming for the same thing, and that is freedom. And freedom is called moksha in Sanskrit. So this is why Gita and Vedanta say that moksha is the aim of life. Because we all want it. We are all looking for it without even realizing it. We think that only those recluse saints in Himalayas are searching for moksha. No. Every one of us is searching for it. But the problem is that we are searching for it in the wrong places. We are searching for it in the limited pursuits of the world. everything that this world can give us is limited. No matter how much money you have or how successful your career is, it is limited. You become a Bill Gates and still you would be desiring something more. You may not be happy with your image. You may not be happy with your brand value. You may not be happy with your, something. And then again you feel that lack, that inadequacy, and again you try to do something to free yourself. So all these things are limited. And these limited things can give you only limited relief from the inadequacy. They can only temporarily make you forget about inadequacy, but not permanently. What we want is permanent relief, permanent freedom. We want something that, having achieved it, we wouldn't need anything more. We would be complete and content permanently. Right? But none of these objects, none of these achievements in the world can give us that permanent freedom, that moksha. The only solution is to know your true self. I explained this before. The individual jiva is ignorant of the self, of who he really is. He does not know the true self. He thinks that this limited mortal body-mind complex is the true self. I am this body-mind and only this body-mind. This is how I think. And this ignorance is the cause of all my problems. It is because of this ignorance that I consider myself limited to this tiny individual who is obviously lacking in so much. And this is why I feel inadequate about myself. What I need to realize is that I am not this tiny mortal individual. I am the limitless, the eternal, the complete truth of it all. I am the pure consciousness, which is unchanging, unmoving. Remember all the words we saw from verses 11 to 30? I am that. How can I be lacking in anything? There is nothing there to lack. Everything that is there is the self. Right? So you have to know yourself. This search for freedom is more like searching for something you already have. Sometimes if you wear glasses, you put your glasses on your head and forget. And then you go searching all over the house. Where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? Where did I keep my glasses? And then Someone tells you, hey, the glasses are right there with you. And then you realize, oh, I have been searching in vain. I already had what I was looking for. Similarly, moksha or freedom is already there. The self is already free from all limitations. Self is limitless. Self is unbound, eternal, complete. So, you just have to realize this fact. You just have to know this fact. So, for moksha, you need self-knowledge. And so when Krishna is saying that have a resolute intellect in one direction only, he is essentially saying that your intellect should be focused on moksha through self-knowledge. Not through any other means can you get moksha. When you realize this basic fact, only then can this journey of Karmayoga begin. Otherwise, you keep going in all the various directions, all the various lures and fancies that this world can take you in, and you will reach nowhere. Krishna says, Bahushakha Ananta Shakha. He's talking about all the various pursuits of the world which branch out like a tree endlessly. People keep swinging from branch to branch endlessly. People don't understand this basic fact that what I am looking for is liberation, moksha, and I cannot find it in these pursuits of the world. So they keep going endlessly in the cycle of birth and death. Arjuna, you have to come out of this cycle. Therefore, you have to come on the path of Karmayoga, which can only begin once you understand this basic fact that you don't have to run after all these pursuits for your fulfillment, for your freedom, for your contentment, because you're not going to find it in them. They may give you temporary relief, fine, but you will not find the permanent, you will not find the limitless which you are looking for. So understand this fact, and once you have very clearly understood this fact, you have that Vyavasaya Atmika Buddhi, then the path of Karma Yoga can begin. Everything else in Karma Yoga depends upon this one understanding. If you understand this, your whole way of life will change. Your whole attitude towards life will change. Right now, you perform actions to gain something out of them. Right? You think that actions can give you what you want. They can give you the fulfillment you want, the contentment you want, and so you do them hoping to achieve that fulfillment. This is your present day approach towards actions. For example, you may want that your company becomes the top company in the world. You think that if you are able to achieve this goal, then you will feel fulfilled. You will not feel inadequate, right? So you begin working on your company with this goal in mind. What happens is that you become so deeply attached to this goal, you want it by hook or by crook. Your whole life seems to depend upon it. And in the process, you take so much tension, you wear out your health, you wear out your relationships, and you suffer. This is our ordinary approach to life and actions. And it is done out of attachment to certain results. I am so deeply attached to the idea of making my company the top successful company. This is my vision, this is my whole fixation in life, that I just want it somehow. But when you know that achieving these results cannot give you what you want, they cannot make you feel free from that inadequacy permanently, then you are not so attached to these kind of things. Your attachment loosens, your fixations go away. Then you perform actions only according to your duties. Duties. You may have the duty to provide for your family, fine. So keeping that in mind, you may build a company, just enough to meet their needs. That can be one approach. You may have a certain social duty in mind. You may think that my company is providing something for society, helping society in some way. So you try to focus on fulfilling that social duty rather than making the company the top company. Success may still come your way, but that is not your focus. So instead of a result oriented or goal oriented approach to life, you adopt a duty oriented or role oriented approach. In the result oriented approach, you are focused on your own desires only. You are limiting yourself to your needs, your desires, your ambitions, and in the process, you ignore the needs and desires of others. So that approach harms everybody. It harms you and it harms others. You also don't gain anything really out of it. You lose your peace of mind, you lose your health and happiness, and much more. But in the duty-oriented approach, everybody benefits. The society benefits because you are trying to take care of social values, social order, you're trying to make a positive contribution to society. And you also benefit because you are benefiting yourself a great deal. You are purifying your mind. You're rising out of your sense of limitation. And so you are moving closer to the ultimate goal of your life, moksha. Right? So you see, the duty-oriented approach is a win-win for everybody. Whereas the result-oriented approach that we follow is a lose-lose for everybody. And that is why we see so much suffering around us. Anyways, so the first step of Karma Yoga has to be understood, and if it is understood, then one naturally begins to become detached from various things in the world, and then the second step comes naturally. The second step is performing actions only to fulfill your duties, your dharma. We will talk more about this in later verses, but for now understand that these are the first two steps of Karma Yoga. If you get the first step right, second comes on its own. Okay, so we will continue in the next video